How are you,
Hey,
my
miss you too,
friend?
Phil. And it just doesn't get any better. A week ago, if you would have talked to me, our 8 day got cut back to a five. As it turns out, because of the weather that we faced, even that first day, it was a great call. It was brutal, it was rough, but they bit, so it doesn't matter, you know. And we were prepared for it. I wasn't prepared for getting my boots filled up that first night, but when you're pinned to the rail on 100 pound, wave comes over the rail. I look up toward the bow and I see this wall of water coming down,
Oh
and
my
just
God.
went over my boots, filled up both boots. But you know what? It was worth it. You know.
Was it worth
So
it?
yeah, we were bit the whole time. And coming out of San Diego, we were going into it. It was a little rougher, but it's about the fishing. And I understand why. I had my heart set on going down to Leo's because there's some of those big yellows that are chewing down there.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's 2 days of running going down, 2 days coming back. There's 4 days.
Yes.
You know, we fished all 5 days and then some. The diversity, the having to being able to enjoy a nice night anchored in Clemente, and then waking up in the morning catching a yellowtail too, then running out to the yellowfin, bluefin grounds, and it's not that far away. And then fishing probably 20 out of 24 hours. So you're talking about fishing time on a 5 day trip. If you add up the hours, I imagine that it was more time on the deck fishing than we would have had on the 8 day trip traveling down to Lejos.
Really?
So, in a lot of respects, it was a blessing. We had some big fish. We had a lot of nice big fish on the deck, some of the 180s and stuff like that. We learned a lot. That's probably the best thing of all. I was just talking to Phil about that. One of the hot deals that we haven't had in the past is when you're trolling. Last year the Mad Mac was probably one of the hottest things for the yachts and the skiffs that are running around at 20 knots. And they can drag those Mad Macs. There's a new lure out now, folks. It's called a Halco. You can go at trolling speed on a sport boat, and we were getting a
I'm talking
mix.
7, 8 knots, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, and they even if you speed it up to 10,
Right.
it still tracks good. But we never had so many bluefin stops in our life. I've never seen that. All those years on the Mustang, I think I had one full bore stop on a bluefin going out to the 60. You know, we were getting consistent on these nice fish. 40-pound fish, maybe. I would say maybe 25 to 40s during the day.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, all of a sudden we get whacked on one. It went, I think it was 174. Cabito got this thing on that Helco. And
Very nice.
I mean, what a game changer for us where you have that ability during the day. And the fishing was such that you had to have everything prepared because in a stop, you look at you might see some medium fish, 60, 70 pounders. And I said, okay, great, fire out the 50. I hang one on 50 and it walks. And immediately after that first walk, when it walked off, I said, I don't think I'm stopping this thing. Sure enough, it starts coming back and the guy says, oh, you're getting it? I get, no, it's just swimming at me. And I straightened that hook out on that. That was a 4X hook I straightened out. And I've got pictures of it, Phil.
Wow.
So, and that's happened not just to me, but several of the other guys on the trip. But, under those circumstances, you just have to say, you know what, I'm going to either get them or I'm going to break them off.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I straightened out the hook. So we maxed it to the max. But, you just have to have that attitude. You can't play with it. It'll either fall through or whatever, and you'll spend too much time on it. But we stayed busy the 5 days. And we also enjoyed ourselves. We'd anchor up at Clemente, wake up in the morning, catch a few yellows,
Oh, yeah?
And yeah,
That's
so
cool.
it was really an awesome trip. So.
Well, folks, you are listening to the Danny Kadota Show. Danny's been in this business for decades, captain of boats, great mentor to kids getting into fishing, and he's just returned from a 5 day trip on board the American Angler. We're going to go through that with you, talk to you a little bit more, but if you happen to be going bluefin tuna fishing in the next week or month or whatever, here's your chance to ask Danny a question, and he will take care of you. Cue Ball is happy to be here, gives you a lot of applause. Joe Valeria wants to know, how was the food? I just ran up there and I grabbed, the food on the boat, I'm thinking he's talking about, yeah.
I'm going to tell you, on all the boats, it is it is almost epic now. And the angler, I can't even tell you how good the food is.
It's
And they
ridiculous.
diversify it, because, but it's like going to a 5-star restaurant,
I
folks.
know.
And I can't, I mean, you look at me. I can't
You're in
eat.
good shape.
I can't eat 5 meals a day on that boat. It's too much. Like, my partner Jeff Sakuda, my bunkies. We share a stateroom. Yeah, we were splitting most of the food, almost all the meals in half because the proportions are just humongous. It's delicious, and it's not. It's all gourmet cooking from the start, from breakfast to your snacks that they make, the homemade pastries and things like that. It's just, it's 5-star
Yeah.
all the way around, and the crew. You know what? To this day, I've yet to see other boats where you got newbies coming on the boat and they're calling you by the first name. To make that effort and to have that
That is
level
so important.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So hands off to Brian, Ray, and Lori with operation. From the office with Lori handling everything in office to Ray on the boat and Brian, they're the best. They're the best.
Yep, very good. All right, Emmanuel Navarro is tuning in from Florida to watch you. Q-Ball says he's been fishing Halcos for a while.
Yeah.
He's got a Halco with the paint chewed off of it.
Oh, I believe that.
Richie Rich says Danny is a legend. So was it a particular color that was working, or do they have different
I think
sizes?
yeah, it's just I don't even know them, but 'cause
I'm
I don't
like
really
you.
troll. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go out and get some.
Are you?
Because I could throw them on a surface lure, but I'm going to have to step up from my 40-pound jig stick, maybe build something a little bit bigger.
Oh, you're talking
with
about
lure
like
stuff.
using it like a jig?
Well, you
making a
could
cast?
do that too. No, we were getting.
Did you
them
get bit on
trolling.
that?
We
Yeah.
were getting trolling.
Yeah.
But I could see where those fish came up and popped around. We could have nailed some on the
Oh
surface.
God, yeah. Throw that in the middle of a
Unbelievable.
foamer.
Yeah.
Are they heavy?
I can't even tell you. I didn't even pick it up.
Yeah.
It stayed in the. That's how good it was. It
Yeah.
stayed in the water the whole time. But yeah, look, it's about this big, but it's the only one I've ever seen that tracks at that speed. Now, typically in the past, the only thing that would do it were those Mad Max.
Yeah.
And that's trolling way too fast for our sport boats.
Yes.
You can't get it up to speed. So at our speed, at a sport boat speed, that was the most effective lure I've ever seen on Bluefin.
Yeah.
I mean, I can count the number of bluefin I had on a Mustang all those years. I think it was 1 on the
Oh
troll.
my God, really?
So this is a game changer.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah,
it. So when the trip was reduced down from an 8 to a 5, were
Yeah.
you disappointed?
I had my heart set because
You want to go down below.
I got inside information that
Yeah.
there are these big yellows at Alejos,
Yeah.
60-pounders. And we've been down there where we weren't even there 12 hours. And I never even kept the limit because these things were so big. And, we're fishing scads like this.
What's a scad for people that
Scad's
don't
just
know?
A big, like the Spanish jack
Yeah.
mackerel.
Yeah.
We're fishing 12-aught hooks.
Yeah. Oh my
Fishing,
God.
8 to 10-ounce sinkers and getting it down. Well, these weren't even making the bottom. when we
Fishing
were
100 pound, I'm guessing? Or?
Yes, we were fishing
Yeah.
100,
Yeah.
130,
Yeah.
and unbelievable fishing. I mean, I think it was the first time I never kept the limit because I'm just sitting there tallying them all up and thinking about my processing bill. I go, oh my God, unbelievable.
No kidding,
Yeah,
man.
but no, but you know what? I always will leave, being a captain, you leave the decision in their hands because they know best. And it was blowing. Because even that first night, we were fishing up to the west, got out there, and we got bit right away on the big flat falls and the 400s, the 3-somethings.
Yeah.
And I even got bit. I didn't stick, but I unbuttoned it on one of the little old sinkers, 16-ounce sinker that I put a heavy-duty split ring and a huge treble, and then I put some assist hooks up in the front part.
Yeah.
Swiveled it.
Yeah.
Got bit and unbuttoned, but I never would have thought that. But it does work. It does work. But it's good, unbelievable fishing. It was just so rough. We're going up and down, and I had it on the rail, and we actually took some over the top of the rail. First time
Really?
I ever filled my boots. That was a rush.
Yeah,
That
I'll
was a rush.
bet, huh?
But the fishing was unbelievable. It was outstanding.
Yeah.
You just have to tough it out, But and when the fishing's like that, I'm going to be out there. I'm sorry that I got hit with a wall of water, but you know what? will dry.
Yeah, right.
There's showers. You can change your clothes. I ended up putting my boots down in the engine room that night to dry them out. It was worth it, folks. It was worth it. This fishing was epic. We fished. And, for an 8-day to get reduced to 5, we fished 5 full days and then some.
Right.
We got to fish on the anchor, wake up in the morning, catch a bunch of yellows at Clemente in the lee, where it's calm. We finish off the trip, down below there. I'm not going to sell the secret spot, but I've never seen red fishing that good.
Oh,
with the
shoot,
2
really?
drops, with the exception of me.
Yeah.
I had some stink on my hand or something. But all the guys it was a big joke on the boat. These guys are coming up loaded with beautiful. I haven't seen reds like that.
God, I love that kind of fishing.
To a drift, and all the guys go, fish tacos. And I go down, 2 salmon grouper, and I go, are you kidding me? Go down again, 2 salmon grouper, 2 salmon grouper, maybe a Florida. I ended up with 2 reds, and these guys were killing it. It was so funny. I was the butt end of the jokes that day.
That's funny. That's
but
funny.
yeah, it was funny. But
Man,
it was a
hearing you
blast.
talk about the reds makes me, almost more than the
Phenomenal.
bluefin for me.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we were done there. We shot back into the inside. We're down to the 425, and we go into bluefin again. So you're only about 30 miles out of San Diego, flat calm over there, but it's a little smaller grade. And I got a couple in there fishing the light line, fishing 30-pound. In fact, there's the same rig I used at Tanner.
Right.
The 30-pound.
Yeah.
And picked away at some of those nicer bluefin in there, but they didn't have the big cows like out west where we're out
Yeah.
fishing in the weather.
But still good fishing.
Oh,
and
it's great fishing.
2 days in a row
And
now, the San Diego's
and
had
there were
limits.
yellowfin. And there were yellowfin.
Yeah.
I think I was a half dozen or so that were caught, and they weren't little.
You guys had
They
a
were-
half dozen?
No, we did not.
But
we
the-
heard about
in
it.
the
They
fleet,
were right
yeah.
there in the fleet.
Yeah.
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 So-
That's amazing, right?
Who knows? Beautiful water, everything. A lot of bait. It's amazing.
Yeah,
So,
it truly is.
You just got to go, folks. It's pretty epic, and I think it's just going to get better.
Me too. The water's going to warm up.
Absolutely.
It's just going to keep going. And
Absolutely.
after our albacore, give us about 3 weeks of
Yeah,
good fishing.
yeah. Well, I'm still.
Me
you
too.
know,
Me
with
too.
them- with those transponders that were turned off at Conception as they're coming down. And
Yeah,
having
right.
Word,
Something's up, right?
Yep.
I'm thinking any time now.
I'm still waiting for Tommy Holland's thing. He was supposed to get back. He'd think he dangled a little thing on some of the dope going on out there. So
yeah, he was
maybe Tommy, you'll call in.
yeah.
Excuse me. Man, this I've had.
Tommy,
Oh,
check
God.
with us. We need to hear from you. Let's
Sorry,
see.
guys.
Oh shoot, let me go back because I can't see that question. I want to get that.
Okay.
It's a new guy. So
Oh.
PR Movie Elite. He says, I'm a beginner on fishing. What tip can you give me? So what would you tell him? He's just getting into it.
I could tell you could start on a one-day boat, and depending on the reputation of the crews, we'll do your homework. We could find a boat where we'll have guys that will sit and be
And
attentive.
help you.
But if you came on like a 3-day trip or something like that on an angler, these guys not only will they call you by your first name, but they will really take and help you out. They scale the level up to whatever your skills are, to that when you come back next year, which you probably would after the boat, you'll be so impressed by the amount of attention and time they'll put in and invest in grooming you as an angler. For most of us, it's more gaffing fish and we joke with them, and we consider everybody on the boat family.
Yes.
That's how close it is.
Yeah.
Same guys year after year, great people. We share information. So, if something's going on, and that's sometimes when you don't have that personal touch, you're going to have guys that are going to be very secretive about something. They get bit all the time, but they're not going to share the information, or they're not showing you what they're doing.
Yes.
So you're going to be on a boat that's very helpful.
And one thing
that's important.
One thing that never enters the mind of, I'm just going to speak for the
Yeah.
crew of the American Angler. I don't know the guys like you do.
Yeah.
One thing that never enters their mind is, I want to take a break. They just keep working, day, night. They're never like, I'm going to kick back for it. Not even for a second.
When you got every one of them up, and it's pretty much a 24-hour day. But those fish bit round the clock when we're
No,
out there.
I know.
And they were trying to take some snoozes in shifts, but nobody works harder than these guys.
No.
And nobody works harder. How many? And I gotta, being an old skipper, I'm very critical about things that I see on a boat, but to make the effort to know everybody's name on the boat, Phil.
I love that.
I've been on boats for 5 days, even myself, and then you hear a "Hey you," and I'm going, "Oh yeah, me. Oh, excuse me."
Yeah, right.
Sure. Yeah. What do you need? But
That's a really
their
nice
level of
touch.
service is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a
my
nice
hat's off
touch.
to the American Angler crew. You guys are above and beyond, always will be. But they work their butts off all day, and we're all tired. We go back in, and we're going to anchor and go get some sleep. No, they're in there chasing flying fish. Now we've kind of pulled that, but I thought they got the whole crew up, and they're all running around having fun like kids.
Yeah.
Catching flies for future groups when they put the kite up.
Yeah.
So they had no
never
sleep.
rest.
These guys had 20-something hour days, and they're still working for us.
It's
So
crazy.
you can't do enough and take care of these guys enough because it's coming out of their heart.
Right. Especially in this day and age when nobody wants to work anymore. And then you
Absolutely.
see this kind of work ethic.
Yeah, it just shows you the level of excellence that they have.
Cue Ball says salamis. He's talking about scad baits,
Yeah,
also known as
yeah.
salamis,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Cue Ball. Isaac says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome back, Danny. Kill it." He's happy to see you back for sure. Dan, Dan and I were talking, trying to see what to do if you're getting spooled. I've heard long-range guys say, put your rod on the deck and straight up in the air. Any tips on how to stop a fish when you're getting spooled?
See, a lot of your long range
Button
guys
down,
are still fishing fiberglass rods, okay? But as you go up in height, and say this is where I'm coming from, doing all the quantifications in the tackle industry, and when I got off the boat, there's a lot of technical things I learned. When you're up at a high stick here, you got 1/10 the pressure you do if you're pointing it down straight, and that's why here I was that first night, we're rocking and rolling, doing this. But my rod was pointed almost down. It was under my arm. I mean, I'm still bruised from that thing because, they're big fish.
Yeah.
And, you get, and I'm giving you an analogy, and the only quantification I have is with a 30-pound stick. But at 60 degrees, when that rod is angled there, you're standing on the deck here. And that's why you'll see me in a lot of these pictures. My rod is always at this angle, okay? Because you're pulling the max out of it.
Yes.
One of the other things I did this trip too, Phil, I was fishing straight graphite railrods. I mean, these are the first ones that are pure.
I know.
graphite.
Those are yours, right?
They're
Semper
light,
rods?
yeah, and they're light. This is a new batch.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
How did it work out?
They recoiled so fast it wasn't even funny.
Oh, wow.
All I had to do is keep up with it. And I had a light reel that complemented. I was fishing a Valiant 1000, which is but it's a machined out reel. There's not a lot of material like, say, an International, so
Yes.
it's lighter.
Yeah.
And so it's very comfortable in it, but it's got the gear power and the ratio and the power in it. And so it's comfortable, and just keep it on your arm. And as we're going up, let the boat lift that fish. You got 100
Let the boat do
tons.
some
of
work,
fish.
right?
It lifts, and all you do is time it and keep down. Now at that angle, now I can only tell you this is quantified with a 30-pound rod. At 30 degrees, that 30-pound stick it took 62 pounds of pressure to break that rod, that blank. When you go up to 45, it dropped off to 45 pounds of pressure. Okay, so it's right here with the fish up and down. At 90, you drop off to 12 pounds of pressure. So what do you want to do? You want to be at 12 pounds here? Or 60 something, 62 down here?
Yeah, that's an easy
Now
one
as
to
you
answer.
go up higher, you have at what is it, 120? You got 9 pounds. Then when you get up on top, you have I think it was 6.7, and then 6.2. You have 1/10 the pressure at a high stick. Why? These guys that are telling you about high sticking, they haven't been in the tackle industry. I'm talking about crew members.
Yeah.
But when you quantify it and you find out, and number one, you won't fish my rods with it. Because if you're doing that, I'm not going to even sell you a rod. It's telling me you don't know how to fish, number one.
Yeah.
Two, why would you risk 90% breakage up here and 1/10 the pressure. That's dumb. That's just flat out dumb. You know, and fiberglass, you know, you're not getting the recovery. So if anything with fiberglass, you should be pointing the rod, you know, because it's not going to break if you're pointing it because it's still like a sponge. It doesn't have the recovery because it's got a rod has to recover its own weight before it could do any lifting, right? So
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to give you a diving board example, and I may have done this before, but you have a big, heavy fiberglass diving board. You jump off that thing, and this thing, because the diving board is so heavy out of fiberglass, it takes forever to dampen because it's trying to recover its own weight.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets to this position, it's used a lot of energy just trying to recover its own weight. If that diving board was made out of graphite, you jumped, you're going to get more distance, which means a longer cast,
Yes.
and it's going to dampen like that because it's light, right? Well, that's how quick it's picking up your fish.
Yeah.
So they often figure how and Phil saw it. I was able to catch some nicer fish out of Tanner on
Oh,
a
God,
30-pound
yes.
rod.
You were on fire.
Because it's a light rod. People were saying, "Well, it's too light." Well, you can look at it and say it's too light, but it was the only shot you have. Because I guarantee you couldn't have done it with a glass rod. It would have been very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Because your recovery, it's too slow. You know, it's recovering its own weight of fiberglass, and it doesn't recoil. It doesn't recoil fast, so it's going to stay spongy. Whereas with graphite, if it's picking it up like this instead of like this, and you're timing it with a short stroke, and in my case, I've got it all two-spaded, you're just turning the handle. So if that head's coming up every time it's kicking, and if you're keeping up with it, it's kicking to the surface. When you're going up and down like this, the head's going through the water like this, and if the boat comes up and the fish's head's down and surges down, he's taking line on you. So the idea is to just keep turning the handle and keeping the thing planing all the way up and kicking all the way to the boat. And I actually did it even with these bigger fish at night that night. But then again, I was fishing 100-pound, and I was using an all graphite railrod, which nobody's had the pleasure of using before. And that, I'm going to tell you, that's a game changer.
And I think it's very interesting that you turn that bad weather into the boat working for you, because when you come up,
absolutely,
it pulled the fish toward you.
Absolutely.
You used it to your advantage.
And the other thing is, we got the greatest crew out there, and we got all our people. We're all helping each other. It was like it's a team. All the passengers, we all gelled, and it's never one guy for himself. I would just soon lose my fish than have somebody else's fish lost. I've been there.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to bother me. I'd rather have them catch their fish.
Yes.
But the fact is, with that crew, we save them all.
Yeah.
We save them all.
It's amazing,
So,
right?
it's amazing.
Costs a little bit more to go on one of those boats. Is it worth it?
Absolutely.
Once you go,
Well,
it's hard to go back to anything
You set
else.
a bar so high.
Yeah.
Phil, but it's not just that. It's the level of knowledge and experience that they spend the time. I mean, I think I mentioned, how many boats you go on, they call you by your first name.
I know.
That takes effort. That in itself takes effort. And that, to me, already sets the level. He sets that bar, up there above and beyond, the norm. So, it takes that effort, and my hat's off to him.
All right. Tons of people watching the show tonight. Thank you all, but hit that like button. I don't want to see a grown man cry. I'm not talking about Danny. I'm talking about me. Hit that like button, everybody. Steve Bermudez wants to know, did you fish the yellow Tatty 45 and catch any barracuda? I don't know what Steve's talking about. Steve?
No, I never saw a barracuda.
Oh, there you are, Steve. Steve's into the sauce again tonight. You got to watch him. Isaac just sent us $10. Man, Isaac, you are so generous, and we really
Thank you.
appreciate you. Isaac was on a vacation. He says it's good to have you back. It's good to have Isaac back, too, right, Danny? Absolutely. Incidentally, I talked to Scott Bucher tonight. He's in Alaska. He's doing really well up there. Our friend Eddie Leland has had surgery. He came out of surgery yesterday. He's not doing great. So we need to keep him in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. Say a prayer for Eddie. He's a very special man.
He is. He really is. It's a
He's a
tough
doll.
one.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to
Yeah.
say. Wild Willie. Evening, Phil and Dan and everyone. Good evening, Wild Willie. It's great to have you here.
What's
Freddie,
happening?
Holy Spirit, Fire, Danny K, the encyclopedia of fishing. That is so true, Danny.
No, you know what? All of you could be there. All you got to do, you're just watching. You know, I've contended all these years of running boats. No matter how long you've been on a boat, no matter every trip that you go on, if you can't learn something new every time you go, you're not looking hard enough. Because to me, that's one of the greatest things. I'll find something that I was doing wrong or something somebody else is doing that is working better or whatever it might be. Could be anything from a knot to whatever. And that's a great find and a great, advancement when you pick something up that you haven't known. And, it was no different on this trip, and fighting that weather, that was a new first too, where it was like that, but everybody worked together. We used the 100-something tons of the boat to help lift those big fish.
Yeah.
And it had to do with keeping up with your stroke, staying on it, and we used it to our advantage. Yeah.
Cue Ball says American Angler is a class act, legendary.
There's no doubt about that, folks. And I gave you the criteria for that. And it has to be with, it starts from the top down, from Brian all the way down to Ray. To Lori is the best. She's awesome. She's a doll.
Good stuff. Sifa, it's good to see you here, my friend. He says he's going on an overnight trip on the 11th to fish the 12th out of Davies Locker. Do you think I'll have a chance at a night bite for bluefin tuna? Absolutely going to have a chance,
Something?
right? The way this is going.
The way those fish are coming, the stuff that we caught at the Coronados.
Yeah.
And just below on the 425.
Yes.
That stuff's all coming up the line.
Yeah.
So there's a very good shot. The thing is that a lot of those boats probably aren't scheduled at that time. They may have to change it, leave a little earlier if that's the case.
Right.
But that night bite, it gives you a much greater opportunity to land some of these big fish because they're not as line shy.
Right.
You could throw those big 300 to 400, gram jigs, and hook those big fish. And during the day, you have to drop down, go a little lighter. On some of those, like I said, I got smoked on 50 and 60 that didn't even have a chance with.
Yeah.
You know.
And Sifa, don't forget the Freedom out of 22nd Street, right where we're sitting here. He should be pulling in here at any moment. He had 9 bluefin tuna last night, so definitely, hopefully your weather's going to be good. As Danny said, we have fish here now, and there's more coming, and they're all coming this way.
Yeah.
So, I think you're sitting in a really good position, and we wish you all the very, very best. No coffee on the keyboard tonight, Phil? I've been drinking coffee while Willie. I drink coffee all day long almost.
Oh, yeah.
Cue ball, spooled, pray to the tuna gods. Yeah, if you're getting spooled, right?
Yeah.
I've been there before.
The trick is, size up the fish and throw in you could always start heavy and scale down. Once you start light and you hook a fish, you're married to it.
Yeah.
And if they come up and chew, in your head, you're gonna go, now shall I break that off and get my heavy line where I have a better percentage and opportunity to land that fish?
Yeah.
Stay with it because you have it on light line, just the chewing through of the line by the teeth, by the hook, and this and that, or like I did, when you get a bigger fish like that, you might just put the screws to it, and I ended up straightening out some 4X hooks.
Yes.
So you have to have that in your head,
Isaac appreciates everything you're talking about, the glass rods versus the graphites. He loves the whole debate on that, loves to hear about that. While Willie says, keep your rod below your hips.
Oh, that's what I'm telling you. It's the angle, folks. That angle has to do with your lift, And, going back to the analogy of graphite to fiberglass, it's kind of like are you going to fish a 2-speed Accurate Valiant, which is light, but it's machined and powerful?
Yeah.
Or are you going to go back to fish a Jigmaster, which has drag like that and, something that we fished years ago, but it's antiquated. You're going to fight yourself. You're going to fight your tackle.
Yeah.
One of these fish. So in catching these quality fish, it's worth it to step up to whatever you can afford. but step up to a better grade. You really want to have a 2-speed with some of these big fish to give you an opportunity to catch it, to land these things. But yeah, it's your tackle at that point. And the rods correspond the same way, I've been there. I fished glass rods all my life, but I was there and I, helped Blaze and really go forward with the graphite sticks, even back in the G Loomis days where we got the first saltwater series on straight graphite.
Yeah.
They're not for everybody, but if you know how to use them, they're dangerous.
Right, right. They are so effective, no question about it. Mike Trunk says, when will we be seeing your rod system? I guess he's talking about, I don't know what he's talking about, like
Oh,
how to pull on a fish. We can do a little video on that, Danny.
I have some. We have some footage. We'll have to pull it out, cut some of the footage.
There you
can
go.
See it, they have some shots at night. I didn't. I was too busy fishing. I get that way, folks. I'm terrible. I went through all these GoPros and I'd put them on and I'd have them on intermittent. Thinking, oh God, I got it from
Such
the hook
great
set
footage.
and to everything. To where it's circling and everything, and then all of a sudden I have an intermittent shot and it's just miserable. I think I mentioned it before. The very first GoPros that came out, I bought it and I was so excited. And I'm fishing with my partner Jeff Sakuda at Lake Irvine, and we're nailing these 4 to 7 pound rainbows on surface like rapalas.
Yeah.
And I got them all on camera. It's on my head. I'm going, oh my God, this footage is awesome. We're getting all these big trout. I get home, it's blip here, blip there, getting in the back of my head. I had it on.
Kills you, right?
I had it on an intermittent mode. So,
Oh my God.
I am technically challenged, folks. I was lucky. The last thing I did that was innovative and actually understood was those first color scanning Westmars we had. In 1981, we first put those on. But that was about the last.
75 people watching. That's a big crowd,
Hey,
and more
folks.
coming on. We appreciate it, right, Danny?
Yeah.
Hit
We'll
that
throw
like
bait.
button.
We're gonna throw more bait. Get you guys
Shove them up.
come on the corner.
I love it.
Hit us with the questions.
Isaac says, thank you, Danny and Phil. Great advice and knowledge for us. This is the guy right here, Danny Kadota. Steve Bermuda says, is it possible to get a 100 or 200 pound tuna on an electric reel, and what type of rod would you be using? Can you get a big tuna on an electric reel?
I'm sure you could, but I'd probably be in a private boat. It's going to be awful hard to cart around a battery pack and everything on a sport boat. It'd be tangled up and it would get in the way.
So I don't even know, how does that work? You just like hold the rod and it reels when it senses that it can get line?
And I'm going to tell you, you saw it on this show a few weeks ago. Joe Russo brought his. If you're on a private boat, that'd be ideal.
Yeah.
You could be on a yacht, and you have that stainless steel Y that you have that you could use as a rail thing.
Yeah.
And you have, in a yacht, you could have that electric motor, electric reel, and you could just place it there and, just use that. And you're already at this angle because it's a U shape and it's holding it down, and it's up higher than the rail. So otherwise you'd probably have to get on your knees to get the rod on the rail on a yacht, But it keeps it up at that proper angle. So it's very possible to do, but I would say on a yacht more so than a sport boat.
Yeah.
Sport boat, I think it's too cumbersome, and unless you had a mobile battery pack, I think it'd be a lot tougher to move around the boat. Your mobility would be limited.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Emmanuel back in Florida, our dear friend from Florida. I can't wait to meet you, my friend. If you enjoy what these guys are saying, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Danny and I both really appreciate that. Let me see here. I got to catch up now. Here we go. Wild Willie, 3-day plus trip, and the mentality of the anglers. I think he's saying that the people that are on those like American angler trips, their mentality is different too, and maybe easier to fish with. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
They can be novice guys though, but those crew guys will take them and turn them into.
See, and that's the difference in having a superior. I mean, I don't hate. I hate to degrade them, but I know for a fact these guys are the best. They stay up all night, and they should be laying down, taking shifts, sleeping. The whole crew's up, and I showed Phil the thing, and we had to kind of take it down. But when we were done fishing, these guys, they got the whole crew up, and they were catching these flying fish. They're doing that so you guys have a shot later on in the year. They'll freeze them and they'll pull them out when they have the kites.
Yeah.
I mean, we fished a 20-hour day already, and they're staying up doing this, catching these things, so for the future use. And I mean, it's way above and beyond what is called for these guys. And that's why, when I look at that, I says, it's coming from their heart. You can't have that drive to work that hard all the time. It's got to come from their heart. And when you have good mentoring, and you have from, like I say, from Lori in the office to Brian and Ray and their entire crew, those guys are on it. And my hat's off to them.
Absolutely, 100%. Danny, today is the day that a couple of Dorado were caught 150 miles off of the California-Oregon border in 59-degree water. It's going to be another strange year.
It is strange.
Yeah.
It is strange.
You're talking about that yellowfin?
Oh, yeah. Yellowfin, when we were down there the last day of our 5-day, we came in from the rock cod and came right in there and walked right into great bluefin fishing on the smaller fish, those, 40 to 60, 80-pound fish maybe. And there happened to be, I think it was a half dozen yellowfin caught. And they weren't the footballs.
Yeah.
These are nicer fish.
Yeah.
Like I want to say 30-pounders from what I heard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So where'd they come from?
I know. It's so weird.
I'm not going to explain anything.
I know.
Mother Nature is dictating the whole deal. It just shows us how little we really know.
No, I think you're absolutely right about that. It's absolutely true.
Yep.
Isaac says, hey, I'd like to say, tip the crew. They put their heart into this thing. It's really, really important. So tip the crew, and prayers for Eddie Leland also, he said. But
absolutely, yeah.
whether you catch fish or not, those guys still work their tails
absolutely.
off, right?
They do. These guys haul our equipment, which is not light. I mean, our sinker bags now, they got to weigh 50, 60 pounds, because you're doing the deep drops and stuff like that, or even your jigs and your tackle boxes. My God, they're hernias. Big time hernias.
Yeah.
But they bring everything on there. They take stuff down to your stateroom. They're golden. That's all I can tell you. Yeah, take care of them because they're the best, and they'll always be there to help you out,
Cue Ball says, yes, the evening shows have been sorely missed. Glad you guys are up tonight. Thanks, fellas. Cue Ball, thank you, man. We really appreciate your support.
Yep.
I don't know. Oh, I do know. That means a lot to both of us, right? When we hear the fans out there talking like that, it's fantastic.
And don't pull back. I mean, if there's questions that you want to hear, I've been very blessed to be able to answer you. And we all have experts all over.
Oh, come in.
Well, look at that. He's got jerky. That's the ones I feed my.
Is that for us?
You dangling that for Phil and I, the jerky treats that I give my dogs?
Dental bones for you, too.
This is Tony from. Tony, you want to get in front of the camera for a second?
Okay.
Oh, why not?
I'm not that.
You look good in that mini skirt.
Well, come on, man.
We have
That's Tony.
Nothing but fun down here, and that's
Tony,
what makes it fun. Yeah.
Tony at 20 Seconds Straight, great guy. If you happen to be coming down here tonight, say hi. If you see him on another day, he's just really a kind guy. And Janelle up front, awesome people. Right, Danny? I mean, we always have a ball with them.
They're the best.
Good stuff. All right, love listening to the legends of the West, soaking it all in. That's Emmanuel. He's in Florida. Super great guy. Can't wait to meet you, man. This is going to be good stuff. All right, Rick Mora. I'm taking my first 2-day out of Seaforth Landing. Can I get away with a Penn Fathom 60 with 130-pound braid and 80-pound mono? I would say yes, but Danny, what do you think?
Well, see, I'm not real familiar with the Penn stuff right now, but I'm saying that's got to be what, a 6/0 size?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no
Right.
problem. And then they've escalated their game too.
They have, right?
Yeah, they all have. They've all come up to and they had to. The game's changed. You're getting reels now that you can fish these bigger fish, but also probably a machine where you could fly line them, and they've had to come up to compete at that level now.
Yeah.
It's not a lot different from the 6.0s that we fished in the old days that were plastic side plates and drags that were this big. So it's a lot different now, folks. So yeah, it puts you in the game. You're going to need that too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Blue Skies. Danny, I have a question. I'm at home right now with a friend, and we're making leaders. Solid ring, to split ring, right? Friend is asking.
You know, if you're using a good split ring, I would use a Spro. It's by the Spro Gamakatsu Corporation. I have not spread any of those things. They're super strong. I would get one. Make sure you have a big enough diameter. But those things are dandy. You have no problem. I use them on all my jigs, hardware and my flat folds and stuff like that. But
Excellent.
yeah, they work great.
Sifa is back. Sifa, great to have you with us again, my friend. Later in July, I'll be on a 1.5-day trip on the Freedom Fill. Hopefully, I'll get a chance for that night bite bluefin then as well. I hope so, my friend. Thanks, Danny and Phil, for the bluefin tips. You guys are phenomenal. So are you, Sifa.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And just be prepared because, the daytime fishing is excellent out there too. It's a little tougher, but keep in mind, go get one of those Halcos because during the day, we had a 174 on the Halco. And, back in the old days when I was running boats, we never got fish on the jigs. I remember one fish going full bore, going out to the 60-mile bank, and I'm talking about maybe a 25-pound fish. But now, those Halcos give you an opportunity to get them on a sport boat. Up until now, recently, the Mad Max, you're getting them on the small boats and the yachts, but you're burning a lot more fuel. You're going a lot faster to get them on those. But these new Halcos, go to your local tackle shop and they'll dial you in on it. But whether you throw it from a jig stick with heavier line or you're trolling it from a boat, it's going to put you in a game on a shot on a bigger fish.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's such a
Yeah.
great tip.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you should also address whether or not you think buying these big fancy lures to drop down to the bottom they work, but what was your experience on the American Angler?
I did get them on the 400s.
Yeah.
And,
Did you have to fish heavy?
I changed a big, heavy treble. I got most of them on that, and the night fishing because it gets down fast.
Yeah.
It had to do with it was blowing like crazy at night.
Right.
Guys.
Were you fishing a 400, 500 gram?
It was a 420.
Yeah. And was that good enough?
Big treble
Yeah.
on the bottom, and I had the assist hooks up on top.
Yeah.
But most of it was on that treble.
Yeah. And do you feel like color and all of that is irrelevant or
No, I don't think
important
so.
or what?
I think I saw a multitude of different ones getting bit. I think it's nice to have a little bit of glow in it, so you sit under a light for a second or two and drop another. But when they ate, what it is when the wind's blowing that far, you literally, and I was blessed that my Valiant, I could cast it, but you're taking it, go down to the downwind corner off the stern and fling it, and it almost goes a boat length. By the time it was sinking out straight, and by the time I got up to the upwind corner, it was right in position. That's pretty much where we were getting bit. It was about 300 feet where we were getting nailed.
You getting bit on the sink most of the time or not?
Yeah, mainly on the sink, and you feel it stop, and when you see that line go slack, you just grind.
Yeah.
And usually it just...
Because you haven't hit bottom, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no bottom.
Yeah.
So when that line floats, crank.
Yeah. There you go. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Wild Willie says, old school. I have 2-speed reels, but I still like my 505. Just can't give it up. It's my go-to yellowtail reel. Can't give up to fight.
You'll give it up if you hook 100-something pound bluefin on it and you have an opportunity to get them on a 2-speed. You hit that button, put you in a different world. The single speed, you'll end up fighting that fish. You'll probably have 2 fish on a 2-speed before you put one on with a single speed. You do have to, you keeping up with the technology, and I think it's like I'm interjecting a lot of times, even with graphite rods, they're not for everybody, but if you know how to fish it right, you can put it on the fish a lot quicker. It's knowing the proper angle so you won't break it, but the recovery rate and the speed that it's putting the line back on is far, far superior than glass.
Good stuff. Charles Ribby's with us, and he says he's going out on the 14th on the Mustang.
My old
You don't know
boat.
anything about that boat, do you,
Yeah,
Danny?
a little bit. Yeah, no. There's nothing like getting bit on the slide on the Mustang. There's no kill on the Mustang, so it makes it nice. It rides nice. It walks the fish, where a lot of times if you have a keel, sometimes the boats will back up. But it has the one thing about the Drakes, with the Drake craft like the Mustang and the Legend. There's a bunch of them down there, but different sizes. But they walk a boat because there's no kill. It's different. Like I say, on the bigger boats, a lot of times they back up a little bit. They all have different different drift idiosyncrasies. So you have to know the boat. You'll see it when you get on there, but if you understand it, talk to the crew. They'll tell you where to cast. They tell you downwind corner, and throw it out a little bit. That means by the time it gets up and down, and you're on the upwind corner into the wind, you're going to be right in the zone. So
He wants to know
Talk to your crew.
what's your prediction for his trip. I say he's going to catch lots of fish.
you know what? We didn't miss any of the days.
And it's getting better and better and
It's
better.
unbelievable. Yeah, because the weather's
Yep.
going to get a little bit better.
Yes. Yeah.
And we got them as close as the we were just below the Coronados when we finished off.
Down by the pile.
And there was a lot of fish down there too.
Yeah, I know.
They didn't have the big fish like we were getting out west, but it was good fishing.
Yeah.
It just took a little more. It took lighter line. Your casting skills and stuff like that is more getting them on the deans.
Yeah. The San Diego was well on his way to limits again for the second day in a row today, and it was
Doesn't get any better than that.
almost straight 50-pounders he reported
Well, see,
today.
that's a great fish. So
That's great fish, right?
That's awesome fish.
Yeah.
That's awesome fish.
Fly line with
we would
40.
have been tickled to death 20 years ago. We were going 50-pound fish locally.
Yeah, you kidding?
Yeah.
I was thrilled with the 12-pound bluefin in the
that's
Santa
what we
Monica
grew up
Bay.
with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
12, 15-pound
we
bluefin.
were tickled to death.
Died and gone to heaven, right?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Charles, good luck on your trip, my friend. Dan Bates sends us $10
All
to
right.
show his
Thank you, Dan.
appreciation. Dan, thank you very, very much. That means a lot to both Danny and I. Hey, hit that like button out there, everybody. We need your love. We need it. Naughty Boy 78. I saw a guy use an electric reel for deep water. It worked great for about 30 minutes. Then it was going slow. Needs more battery. So is that an issue? I don't know.
I would say, it's a better utilization of electric reel on a private boat. On a sport boat, I've seen guys carry it around with battery pack, but you know what? What do you do if your battery dies? If you don't have a spare, you're dead.
Yeah.
So I'm old school, I'll change gears. I'll go from low to high at different points in the fish. If fish is outside and all of a sudden makes a run at me, I'll kick it in high to catch up with it, get back on it, and then drop it back down low when we're up and down. But yeah, electric is pretty tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you should look in the camera and say hi to all the people watching in the lobby of 22nd Street, Danny.
Oh,
right
hey,
here,
folks.
right there, and tell everybody. Tony, Janelle, they're
Tony,
out there.
Janelle.
Good luck on the
Welcome.
Freedom tonight, everybody. Good luck on
You'll
I think
get 'em.
the Amigos going. I think the El Patron is going. It's going to be a
great
busy
fishing.
night.
Great fishing.
Good stuff. Hey, Daniel Lightfoot is saying he's been teaching, Michael Limon, the kid that's always here that
Yes.
you say is going to be a captain.
Oh, yeah.
Dan says he's teaching his grandson to tip the crew. It's really important. That's a good lesson.
That's it.
Yeah.
Gotta take care of them, too. Especially somebody that's interested that much. He's got that energy and desire to learn. It's great.
Tim P wants to know, do you wear sandals or deck boots when you're fishing?
When I'm out there, I'm wearing deck boots. When we're goofing around, we used to use sandals. But during the summertime when it was nice fishing, or you're at it used to be Cedros or places like that, down the beach on the ridge when it's nice and flat and sunny and hot.
Yeah.
But anytime you put sandals, as much as I wear sandals, it's a liability on the deck. You got hooks, you got a bunch of other things, fish spines. Yeah, I keep my for the most part, I keep my boots on.
75 people watching, up to 32 likes. Keep pounding that like button, everybody. And there's also a share button, so you can take this right now, share it with a friend, and they can join in on Danny's show tonight. I think that would be really lovely if you could do that. Daniel Liano says, hello, Phil and Danny. Just got home and been listening while driving home from work. Daniel, thank you, man. We really appreciate it. Naughty Boy 78 deck boots, but it doesn't matter if you can't feel your toes.
Well, my toes were soaking in cold water that first night. We were taking those things, but you know what? It did not stop us from fishing because they were chewing.
Yeah.
It was freezing with the wind, hot big swells, and that's why they canceled out our 8-day to made it a 5. But you know what? We fished all 5 days, and like I said, even on 8, if we're running down to Alejos, you got 4 days of running basically.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
You got some area in between, but
Was everybody bit at the same time? Did you ever hang Yeah, you did, huh? I can
Well,
tell.
we went through a lot of that,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm looking up, I'm seeing the other, we call them Cadillacs, the
Yeah.
big boats.
Yeah.
Everybody was doing the same thing.
Oh my
pretty much.
God.
It's excellent fishing.
Who was there
folks.
with you? Do you
Go fishing.
remember? XL.
Yeah, we had a bunch of boys. XL was out. Mainly the Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Mainly were all the big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good that you're teaching everybody
Yeah.
that term because
Yeah.
that's the word we use for long range boats or
that's it.
really nice boats,
That's it.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So the caddies were all there with you, and they
caddies
were all
out
bit
there.
too.
Well, because of the weather, they're
Yeah.
the only ones that could take that blow and the swell.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nobody else could
the
take
smaller
that.
ones.
Right?
I think I would have had an Excedrin headache in the Mustang. The way we're rocking around a 65-footer out there, folks.
Hey, Mike Krinkovich was on that trip with you, wasn't he? He told me he was there, and
Yep.
he asked me, "Have you talked to Danny about?" I said, "Heck yeah, I've talked to him. In fact, he's doing a live show tonight. I don't see Mike on here. I'm going to."
Yeah, where are you, Mike?
Yeah, really. Thanks for the support, Mike. Mike's a great guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a great group.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a great group.
Was it Mike that told me that you and him shut the galley down, talked till about 3:00 in the morning, or something like that? Somebody told me that.
That first night.
Yeah.
I mean, it was already so good. My boots are soaked. I ended up taking my boots down to the engine room. Folks.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind too. You need it dry, take it down the engine, or have the crew take it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're perfectly dry by morning. Yeah.
JC says the Halco is a 160 or 190 DD. Preferred speed on that Halco is 7.5 to 9 knots, and they are bluefin tuna killers.
Absolutely,
JC
I
is
saw it.
echoing what you're saying,
I
Danny.
saw it for the first time, and it was a killer. We had some smaller fish on it, the 40, 50 pounders, and I think some even a little smaller, but we also nailed that 174 on that Halco. That was an eye-opener.
Yeah, absolutely. That's sounds like just
Yeah, we never had bluefin on a troll like that, ever.
So it was really consistent.
It had to be, this was daytime, too.
Yeah.
Daytime. Yeah,
Oh,
we
my.
didn't troll at night, but
Yeah.
during the day. Yeah.
That's
stayed
definitely
busy.
food for
Yeah,
thought, man.
yeah,
It sounds like
absolutely.
you got to run down and buy some Halcos here in the next couple of days over
Yeah.
at Sam Island Fishing
Oh,
Tag
yeah.
or wherever.
Yeah. Talk to Sammy. He'll key you in.
Yeah, exactly. Wild Willie, I've caught a 50-pound bluefin back in the day on the Big Game 90 with the 505, with fishing a 505. Yeah, we all used to fish those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be done. And you had to be a good, it wasn't by luck. You had to know what you're doing, especially with, single speed reels and a 505. Was it 4-to-1? Just like a 500?
I think so,
it
right?
was the
Yeah.
same gear ratio. So
Yeah.
you're not getting a lot of power with it, so you're going to have to use a little technique. You're going to have the right stroke with that.
Yes, definitely. Rick Slater wants to know, are the Chinese two-speed reels that are out there any good?
I'm not familiar with
I've seen them. I've never
not
fished with
familiar
them,
with
right?
I fish accurates,
Yeah.
and they're light. They're light, they're machined, and they're powerful. Very, delicate, but I mean they're a beautiful, beautiful fishing tool.
Yes. And what size accurate were you fishing on?
I got
this
them
trip?
all.
Oh, you
I
do?
have them all
Yeah.
up to, from 1,000 to 800s, 800 narrows, and then you go to 600s, all the way down. Scale
Yeah.
it down to where my stuff I take down the Bay of LA is like the Valiant 400s, so it's like a little smaller than a squidder, but they cast and they got a great drag.
All right, perfect. Danny, 80 people watching now. More and more people coming to the channel. We thank you all very much. Hit that like button. You guys are great tonight. Thank you so very much. Wild Willie says 50-pound Cajun red line. You ever fish with that, Danny? The Cajun
No,
red?
I haven't. I've been, over the years, because Russ Iser was my mentor, I fished all the original stuff. And I think I told you guys, if you think the line expires, as long as you don't keep it in extreme heat or extreme cold, some of the original Iser, when Russ went from the Iser line to the first string, went to his copolymer.
Yeah.
I have some of the original stuff. It's got to be 30-something years old. Still does not break.
Oh, wow.
It's still tests out, still casts.
How many
beautiful.
years later?
I can't remember when I was still on the boat, still running the Mustang. And I
Decades.
think I told the story. His first line was not a copolymer. It was called Iser line.
Yeah.
And he had it breaking at whatever it said, like 15-pound broke at 15. And
Yeah.
I had the story. We were at Clemente, and he chartered the Mustang. And I'm fishing my little 5-foot bass rods because during the week, We were bass fishing up at Casitas and Castilla fishing this fish.
Yeah.
So I'm fishing a 5.5 foot rod with the ambassador at Catalina. He says, "Here, try this rod out. It's a long rod, with a squitter, and it had 15 on it, the old Iserline 15." So I try it, and again, Russ was way ahead with the long rods,
Yeah.
And so I hook about a 4.5 pounder. I start to bounce and line snaps. And I said, "Russ, this line is crap." And he goes, "What do you mean it's crap?" And he got very defensive. I said, "It's crap." He says, "Well, it breaks right at 15 pounds." And I told him, I said, Russ, when I judge a line, if I'm going down to San Diego, we were fishing the Coronados and the Bluefin are scratchy. It was the pride, you had a lot of pride and honor in catching even if it's a 15 to 20 pound Bluefin on 15 pound. None of us at that time mic'd out the line. So if you mic'd out the line, when he went to the copolymer, which is now the first string, it broke. I think the 20 broke at about 22 or something like, it was well above.
Yeah.
And it was just superior line, not strength and everything was much better, But that was Russ. He could listen and take constructive criticism. And I think that's why he was he did everything so great, because he listened, He was an innovator, but he also listened. He didn't have that arrogance,
Which
And
is a good life lesson,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Wild Willie says electric reels are good in California, but I believe they're illegal in Mexico. I have no idea about that. I'll have to check with my Mexican friends and find
I
out,
don't
Wild
see any
Willie.
when we're down there.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I'll be careful about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, the idea of it's part of fishing is winding it up. I don't care if it's 600 feet and you're
And
fishing.
I could see it if maybe you're handicapped or something.
Yeah.
I can understand it, but for now,
I mean, we go to the gym, some of us, and try to live. So why not incorporate that in your outdoor activity?
You should be
too?
exactly. You should be as sore as I am. I still am
Yeah,
bruised
right?
under here, and hey,
I'm not
battle.
disparaging anybody
That's the
who
rule,
decides
battle
to use an electric reel.
Yeah.
It's a free.
Sure, absolutely.
Used to be a free country. I don't know if it is anymore. But yeah. Anyway, let's skip over that. All right, Wild Willie. Bay says, "Hey guys, have a 2-speed MXL on an 840-80 Shimano Terramar. How would you spool it up?" I don't know all these different rod numbers.
I'm not
and all that
familiar
stuff.
with it. But you're saying it's a 40 to 80?
Yeah.
So you're saying it's pretty much a 60-pound stick?
I'm guessing, right?
Yeah. I would, I'd have to flex it myself to assess what I would fish it with.
Probably 80 on there, 100, right, or something.
Well,
Spectra, or-
that's a good size rod, yeah. But I mean,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It
if
is.
you got a 2-speed, you can get away with it.
Yeah,
You can get away with it. But if it's maxed at 80, I don't think I'd go over 80.
yeah,
Yeah. But here you go. You could take 80-pound Spectra, it's thin, and just top shot it.
yeah, right.
So if you had to, you top shot 100 or 130 or whatever. But and you could even take that 80 and put 60 on it or 40.
Yeah.
So I mean, the diversity because of the Spectra, thanks to my seed Eddie Russ Iser, you have that ability to do that now.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got that versatility.
Jack Sepulveda says, "Hello, Phil and Danny. Thank you for all the great information. Jack,
You got it.
it's good to see you here, my friend. Really appreciate you being there. 80 people watching now. The crowd is building. Hit that like button and
You got to
thanks
keep
for
hitting with a
joining us.
chum on the corner. Keep them
Put a
coming.
scoop, Danny.
Keep on coming.
Hit him with a scoop, man. Let's see. Cue ball. I've got them all. Yep, me too. Talking about accurate reels, I think.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Jagger says, "Hey, thanks for this. It's entertainment while I'm waiting for a flight. Pride tomorrow, legendary Sunday." Jagger, where are you coming from, man? And best of luck on the Pride. I talked
yeah.
to Sean early this morning. I saw him. He posted a 49. He posted a big white sea bass. So I
Oh, my
immediately called him and said, "Hey, how big was that?" He said 49. And I said, "Okay, that's a
Imagine
nice
that.
one."
White sea. I mean, you take your pick. Where do you guys want to fish? I mean, a couple weeks ago, Phil, we were at Catalina and Clemente had tremendous fishing locally on the Apollo.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
you
mean,
just go outside a little further and just, big bluefin.
yeah,
Doesn't get much better than that,
it's
folks.
crazy. And
Go fish.
you and I both agreed that it's going to only get better this
Oh,
year.
it's going to, yeah. It's just starting.
Yeah. When are we going to catch an albacore?
Holland, if you're out there, I want you to
Holland.
weigh in.
Yeah.
Come on, Zipper. That was a code name for him. Call it in, Zipper. Let me give me
Yeah,
this.
I
Give me
talked to
the.
him today. He still, thinks it's going to happen, but he says he's going to start getting nervous if a couple of weeks go by and we don't see him.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, we'll see.
We're the guys with the turned off transponders, Tommy.
Yeah, right. I'm with you on
Track
that.
them.
All right, David Alcantar. Love my accurate, valiant, support local, Corona, California. The guys from Accurate.
Oh,
I love the twins. They're
yes,
great
yes, they're
kids,
great
man.
guys.
I've known them
They're all
for
good,
so many years.
and they got Benny over there. Benny's a piece of
Yeah,
work. I've known Benny
exactly.
forever, and we used to fish together.
Yeah.
Down the coast. He and Greg, Greg, just absolutely, they had the calicos, Stotesbury, they
Yeah.
had the calicos
Yeah.
wired down the coast. So
Yep.
those guys are good, But yeah, I see Benny when we're out there in the shows.
Good stuff. Cue Ball Legend has been killing it 100%. They have been, man. I like those guys. Steve Taft, I like he's got a channel on YouTube where he goes live a lot. So
Ah,
we are
cool.
loving that. Jagger, I'm doing, I'm going to have to buy 2 coolers to fly back with. Absolutely. He's flying in from Wyoming and he's listening to us right now.
Cool.
He's flying out of Salt Lake City, Utah, it sounds
Awesome,
like.
awesome.
So he's heading down this way. And you got to admit, man, it's pretty cool. We got people in Florida watching tonight, Danny. We got people
That is
in
cool.
Utah,
Well,
Wyoming.
There's so much to learn from all the aspects. I mean, going back east and fishing down in Florida and New Orleans, with the guys, there's always things you pick up. And I think with us though, out here, we have a real open mind, and I don't know if it's just my job as a skipper, but you have to recognize things a lot quicker because you got to make decisions for 25, 30 guys.
Yeah.
And and the same. I mean, I did that from trout fishing to my bass fishing. It's making those quicker decisions, and making, analyzing the situations quicker to make those adjustments. And I think that's where I think a lot of times we have that edge because we've been processing like that from the time we were young. And so many places I go around the country to fish, guys are so set in their ways, they're not about to change.
Yeah.
And when you interject new things, they stay within the comfort level.
Yes.
But you got to be compelled. You have to change. You want to grow. You want to get better. You have to learn by watching.
Yeah, because there's no stopping the technology. So
No.
you're either going to be part of it or you're going to get left behind.
No, methodology too. I mean,
Yeah.
I could tell you a story, Phil, and this is a true story, folks. I was at a Bassmaster Classic, and we're down in New Orleans, and I'm in the G. Loomis booth when I was repping G. Loomis.
Yeah.
Like Toyo Shimano comes over. This is even before Shimano bought G. Loomis. And Toyo comes, he goes, "Hey, you want to go fishing tomorrow?" I go, "T." Excuse me. I'm getting excited about thinking about fishing even then.
Yeah, really.
But forgive me. But anyway, I said, "T, what do you think? Do I want to go fishing tomorrow?" Of course I want to go fishing
Dumb
tomorrow.
question.
So I said, "Send the guy over." So this guy wants to go head to head with me because I was bass fishing at the time, And he comes in the booth, and so I ask him, I said, "So what do I need?" He says, "Well, you need a 7-foot spinning rod and, spinning reel to correspond with it. And we're fishing 10-pound line." I go, "Can I use a casting rod?" He goes, "No, you can't cast it that far." I said, "Well, I'm going to try." I'm going to try.
Yeah.
So I go into the Loomis booth, they take a PR 8400. Go in the Shimano booth, they take a Chronoc, spool some 10-pound on it. Meet the guy out in the bayou. We go out, get live shrimp, and he wants it head on head. Him and I going toe to toe. So we anchor up on one of the rigs, and it's just first cast, boom, nailed, grind them in. I bounce it, shake it off. I wasn't going to keep any fish.
Yeah.
Shake it off. He's using a spinning rod. He's fighting it. He nets it. Well, as he nets it, the fish is getting tangled. Now I'm on my second fish. Now I start lapping them. I got 2. The more fish I started lapping him, the more frustrated he got. And he was breaking fish off, And I'm going, you think you'd be compelled to change and adapt. And this goes for any of you guys out there on anything you do. watching and adapting and making those changes. The faster you change, the quicker you're going to go get into it.
You mean,
right?
is it as easy as looking at the guy who's catching the most
You're
fish?
watching.
Yeah.
You're watching.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm doing like 3-1 on it. And the more I do that, the more frustrated this guy gets. Now this guy's supposed to be the top guy down there in New Orleans. And so I'm looking at it, it's just the shrimp hits the water and it's gone. I said, "Do you have any plastics?" And he goes, "No, we don't use that stuff." I said, "You don't have any plastics?" I mean, that's ideal, right?
Yeah.
He got a lead head, hits the water,
Boom.
and a plastic, and bingo. He has this. He said, "Well, I got one in my tackle box, but the plastic was so old you couldn't even see the bait." But I opened it up, and here's this. Looks like a rubber stick with a lead head. So I go, "Oh, what the heck?" So I fire it out there, and now it's even faster because I get it in. I just shake it off, fire out there, shake it off, fire, and I'm bouncing the fish. I'm not netting him. He's still netting his fish, getting it all tangled up in the net. You think you would watch and change, but when I've seen that.
You get caught in that.
They get caught up.
Yeah.
This is how we do it.
Yep.
No, folks, that's not how you do it.
Right.
You change. And if I made those changes that slow on the American Angler, I'd have been sitting there twiddling my thumbs too. But you've got to watch, listen to the deckhands. They're your best source. Your deckhands and your captains, they're there every day. You do what they, So it's always the thing to talk to the guys that are there on the scene every day. If not, it's watching, paying attention, and seeing what's going on, and adapting. So if that bait hits the water, so it's a live shrimp, but it's just any movement, and it's getting nailed.
Yeah.
So adapting quickly, is always going to, bring success to you.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes open always.
All right, Jagger's at the airport listening to us in Salt Lake City. He says he's got advice about flying with jigs and stuff. You can take the hooks off your knife jigs and put them in your carry-on bag. They will search your bag, but there's no weight limit on your carry-on bag.
Smart move.
My carry-on bag weighs more than the checked luggage. Whoa, that's a great idea.
Yeah, they do. Plus your lead, right?
Yeah. He says also trout are overrated. I can catch them with size within hours drive. Can't fish sea bass or tuna in Wyoming, however, so I'm coming to 22nd Street.
I get you.
Have a safe flight, my friend. Joe Russo. I know that guy.
Hey, Goomba.
Hey, Joe, happy birthday, man. It was his birthday just the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that.
Jojo, I just talked about utilizing your Y.
Yeah.
Out there, it's a perfect time.
I hope you heard that,
Once they got the nice weather, it's a perfect deal for these size fish.
Yeah, don't forget, we're promoting your
I
product all
want
the
to
time.
go with you. We'll go on your yacht.
Yeah, Joe, you can take us fishing.
We'll go film one on your yacht.
He says, great show tonight, guys, as usual. Tell my mentor to save me a bag of bluefin from his trip. Save my bag of...
That's all vacuum packed.
There you are, man, Joe. Yeah, and Joe, we're pushing your product. You know why? Because we love you, and also I need some help with my car, so I'll be calling you.
There you go.
I know I have your phone number, Joe, but I said, hey, Siri, call Joe Russo. And she said, I don't have that phone number, so I don't know what's going on.
See, on my phone, I got them under Goomba.
Oh, there. Maybe I should say that.
Hey, Goomba, yeah.
All right, Tim P. says, how's the parking for the big three landings nowadays? Shorter trips, mainly full day. Still a pain in the neck, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
we were lucky. We got there early, and we got parking. It's $12.
A day?
$12 a day.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. But we go back so far when it was free, and there was actually more parking there. It's just configured different now. When they put the new parking lot,
it's
they
tight
lost a lot of
too.
spots.
It's really tight, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. I know. Well, that's the honest answer, Tempe. It's kind of a pain in the neck. Big Dukes 10. Danny, that poor guy, no doubt, still has nightmares about that.
Oh, the kid in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Well, and he should. If you don't pay attention, if you're doing the same thing every day, that's the definition of insanity. If you can't tweak your game and make it better, you're not paying attention. But you're the top guy down there. You should be compelled to learn as much as you can from different areas in the country. And I could tell you, if I had my plastics that we had out here, which are at the time far more superior. Smoked them even worse, or with my tackle. So, you know, watching and tweaking, and I mean, I think that's the big edge we have out on the West Coast. And again, it goes back to you're dealing with a clientele that comes from aerospace, Hollywood, JPL, Disneyland,
The Dodgers.
Angels, But anyway, when you're in a competitive area, your game has to be elevated to be a highliner. If you're down there and you're fishing a bobber and you're shrimp the whole time, yeah, you're not compelled to grow and to innovate. You're doing the same old thing. To me, that's.
And Cue Ball couldn't agree with you more. He says, hey, it's happening right in front of you. That ego thing makes your knots break. Laughing out loud. Yeah, don't let your ego get in the way of learning.
No,
right?
no, you have to have an open mind. You have to watch. And it's the guys that see what's going on quicker. Okay, here's a good one. Even from back on our trip, back on Tanner.
The Legends trip.
The Legends trip,
which people
right?
can watch.
I mean, amongst a bunch of great fishermen, I learned a lot that day too. I learned that I can't go out there with a short top shot, even though I'm out casting it with a 9-foot rod, because those bluefin can still see the spectra with a short top shot. So I had to lengthen everything out. The other thing I did that in the past, normally I would butt hook it, but I was back hooking them, and I was back hooking my baits down there this time too, and and a couple different times during the day, I got bit when everybody else is sitting there. We're looking at the fish; they boil around, but I was lucky enough to get bit. So it's a combination of where I hooked the bait and fishing a little bit lighter line.
Up to 90 people, over 90 people watching now. Hit that like button, everybody. We really appreciate all of you joining us for the Danny Kadota Show. As always, I'm learning a lot tonight because I keep my ears open all the time. Addicted to Fishing says there might be more people on the water this weekend than the entire state of Wyoming. Have fun, Jagger. That is for sure. And Cue Ball, you're talking about observing, learning everything else.
Man.
He says, preach it, Danny.
I don't care how
Preach
good
it.
you are. I don't care how good you are. If you can't learn something new every time, you're not looking hard enough, folks. You really do. Yeah.
Wyoming has tried at the state level to recruit people for the last 30 years. The problem is the wind and winter. People experienced and are like, nope, not living here. Worst climate in the continental U.S. But it's gorgeous, that's for sure. But it's tough weather. I wonder what's an apartment cost? Is it way cheaper to live in Wyoming? It's got to be than L.A., right?
I imagine.
Yeah. Joe Russo. Joe's birthday is in November, so I've got it all screwed up. In Facebook, it says your birthday is a couple days ago, Joe. So there.
Well, Goomba's probably trying to get an extra present. Churn another
yeah.
Pretty smart there, Joe.
Yeah, nice
Way to go,
going,
Goomba.
Joe. Got 2 birthdays, huh? And yes, we need to do a show on my boat as soon as this bluefin tuna is within our range. It would be my pleasure to have you, Danny, and Pete Demirs all together on the boat. Would that be fun?
With you filming it.
I'm filming the whole thing. I might catch one just for the
There you
heck
go.
of it. But man,
they're in range, Joe. It's just the weather. It was bumpy. You had to be in one of the big Cadillacs this last weekend to ride out the nights.
yeah, that would be an awesome video with Pete Demirs, with you,
Oh
with
yeah,
Joe.
Pete again. Yeah, and Joe.
Yeah,
we had some
man.
good days.
I can't wait.
Absolutely.
All right, addicted to fishing. All love. Hope you limit out. He's talking to, of course, Jagger, who's coming from Wyoming. Rick Slater. Are tuna heads being saved? What is the legal for sport caught tuna for giving away or to charity?
Well, it's 2 a day is the limit, and I think it's 6 max.
Yeah.
Something like that, But trust me, with the size of these things, that's more than you're ever going to need, folks. And we get them processed. And I try giving some away before I even get to that point. So that, you don't come home and you explain to your wife that you're giving away fish, but we're giving away them at the cost of about $1,200 for processing.
I know, right?
Yep.
They'll kill you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, she'll kill me. Yeah.
Hey, Jagger says it depends upon where you're looking for an apartment up here in Wyoming. Jackson is like Malibu. Harrison Ford has a huge place. Smaller towns can be about 600, 700 a month. Well, you can't find anything around here for that.
No.
That's for
cool.
sure. All right, Steve Barber says, love the knowledge that you guys give. Steve, we love you being here, man.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Really, really appreciate it.
Ask
Hey,
away on your questions.
yeah,
too.
any questions,
don't
Steve,
hold back.
anything we can help you
That's
with.
what we're here for.
It's our pleasure. Hit that like button, everybody. Almost 90 people watching. It is great. ST. Hello, Phil and Danny. As a private boater, how do you choose to park if you are going to fish with the fleet? Like Tanner Banks, for example. And how do you look for current at an island? Thank you, he says.
Generally
Arigato.
speaking, it's like anything. Like when I fish the lake, generally to determine the current, I mean, there's a couple ways, but by anchoring is the best.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And then you may
But
have
if
to
you're
re-anchor,
offshore,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you figure it out, right?
You figure it out.
Yeah.
You know.
And so I think he's asking a question also like, probably like, how can he be courteous to the sport boats, but yet get in where the hot bite is?
You can get, as long as you're not stacked on top of the sport boats, they're not going to bother you. They're not going to yell at you. There's enough spread of fish. You don't have to sit 10 feet off their stern. You can go and you're not gonna be braille. You don't have the bait capacity to pull the fish away from a big boat. So generally, there's a couple of different ways to do it. Know which way your boat's drifting. And you could either, and it's funny because on a lot of those big boats, the bow's the hot spot. So you could anchor either way. The chum's going to go off the stern, but, a lot of them drift backwards. So, the bow's a good place to go. So, excuse me.
Do you have water there? Do you need water?
Probably.
Are you okay? Hey, Danny.
Yeah. I'm talking too much.
Hey, can you bring Danny a water, please? Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, you're not going to
But
get a
anyway,
break
yeah.
for a while. I'll tell you.
So, as long as you're not too close, you keep your distance. That spread of fish, you don't have to be tied off to the stern to get bit. There's a spread that goes for, well, you see the whole fleet stopped out there. So, you got a spread of fish. So just finding the zone, watch what they're doing. If you see guys fly lining, they're on the surface, Look at the size of the rods they have. You see them all with big, heavy stuff, they're probably flat falling down deep. If they're fishing bait sticks, probably fly lining the Deans. So, you could do that. You have your binoculars. You could do that without getting too close, and you're not going to upset anybody,
All right, El Patron just pulling away from the docks,
Cool,
Danny.
cool.
And Freedom should be rolling in here pretty darn soon. Man, you are the man.
Oh, thank you.
Danny, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it, bud.
Let's see, Matthew Cruz. Matthew, hope you're having a great night. He is having a great night. I don't know if he's doing this right now or he's talking about that he was doing it. Matthew, you're going to have to tell us, but he says, I'm catching barracuda on the rocks by the Queen Mary. The water's warming up. Hey, Matthew, are you catching some legal fish? Are you fishing right now? That would be interesting for us to know, but way to go, man. Thanks for sharing that. Manuel, how much does it cost to get your fish processed? It's so much per pound, right?
Yeah.
How much?
And we go to, you know what? Gail's going to kill me. I didn't even look. I just paid it. But, it's getting up there. But you know what?
It's like $1.50 a pound? Or?
Yeah, I can't even remember.
I don't
And I
even.
just paid it the other day, but I just gave him my card. But what I try to do now is have guys come down because we didn't have the room. I didn't have my car because my catalytic converter
Oh, right.
been off for about 5 weeks, now,
Yeah.
6 weeks. And so we took Jeff's Forerunner, so we didn't have the area. Usually I bring those 3 huge ice chests.
Yeah.
And we'll, have processed fish. But, those bills, the processing bill's crazy. So what we did was I figured, you know what? Like my dad said, give it away. Just keep enough to, whatever you're going to use.
Yeah, right.
And give away to, personal friends or something
Yeah.
like that. But give most of it away. Let everybody share it. It comes back around, folks. There's plenty of fish. We're going to see a lot of bluefin all summer.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's better that everybody gets to enjoy it fresh.
And when you give it to somebody who never fished before, like I give it to some people over there in Surfside, they're like, I've never had fish this good before. What did you do to it? And I go, It's just fresh, you guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe the quality.
And if you want to blow them away, one thing that I went into many years ago when I was doing stuff for Kathy Miller, Day at the Docks, was I got tired of doing fishing seminars. So I went into, and I put together a program for processing stuff. I flew a guy down from Lure Jensen to do a smoking program. A friend of mine, Bob Hornshoe, was ironically one of the managers at Bob Marriott's Fly Fishing. Bob was doing a canning seminar for us and showed how to do the canning with commercial canners. And then I was doing, at the time, seared tuna, folks. And I did this because one of my guys, one of the captains on the New Hustler, Rick Kawada, is my optometrist. But Rick's kids did not eat sashimi, and mine didn't either. So he says, I want to try this. And you put a little furikake on it, you sear it, and then slice it raw. Well, I was doing that at parties, and I had to chase the kids out of the kitchen. You know, hey, this for the guests, you know.
They were eating too much of it?
So I started, what we did was at that Day at the Docks, I went down on one of the boats, we fired up the grill, seared the tuna and mainly wives, you know, showed them how to do this for parties, and it was a huge hit.
Oh, wow.
Because, you know, I try to think outside the box.
Yeah.
What do they need me talking about fishing for? You got all these other great skippers there too, right? These guys, you got great skippers there. I like to do innovative things like that, where you involve. How nice is that when your wife tells you, "Hey, we got a party coming up. Go out and go catch me a bluefin or for making appetizers like the seared tuna."
Then it's working the way you want it to work.
Yeah, and I did that with Bart. We started bringing in Andy, the sushi chef. And,
we got to go see him again.
Yeah, absolutely. But to me, that's a big part of it.
Absolutely, man.
Spreading our wings and helping out in different areas there.
Yep. Halibut Man says, thanks for all the info. Hopefully going out this weekend on a private boat to Catalina. Probably going to have to rockfish with the amount of boats out. Hey, I'll tell you what, Halibut Man, I had a guy, he showed me some video from his phone and made me swear I wouldn't put out where he caught it. He was at Catalina. He had his deck littered with sea bass, halibut, yellowtail, bonita, calico bass. It was it was epic.
Well, look at what we did on the Apollo.
Yeah.
I was.
And private guys are going to get better. They're a little more stealth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got the Japanese call it the bachi. I snuck up to the bow and I got bit. Oh, here's another lesson I'm going to tell you guys too. I was up in the bow on the Apollo. I got bit, and I could tell by the way it's doing one of these. The tip's doing this. It's halibut.
Yeah.
And it unbuttoned, and I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't want
I didn't
want to say halibut. Yeah.
I knew what was going on.
I went up there, and the second one I stuck right. Put that on, and I went up there. I got bit the third time on a halibut. After I put that second fish on, I got bit, and I unbuttoned 2 out of 3. And I got to tell you something. Another lesson here, folks. When I was in high school, we used to drift the Tijuana Flats down off the bull ring down in Mexico. We would go bendo on these halibut, drifting the whole boat. We'd hang the whole boats on these drifts. I fished treble hooks. Guess what? I didn't have any treble hooks in my tackle box. That's another secret on these halibut.
Yeah.
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 You use a small. You don't have to use an extra heavy treble, because they're not. You can just wind them real slow. But because of that third halibut staying up in the bow, and all of a sudden, Phil, you remember all of a sudden we went bendo back on those sea bass.
Yeah, right.
Well, I got the Japanese call it a bachi. I got my thing, but trying to keep it quiet and catching a halibut.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed out on being back there when they hung all those sea bass. Yeah, so no, it was great fishing the Catalina. We had a great day.
Yeah, I think you might do better than what you're thinking, Halibut Man. There's some good fish there. Jagger, what do you think about quick change rig for knife jigs using 300-pound leader to the bottom hook connected to a split ring and the jig and top hook connected to a solid ring? No hooks connected to the jig. What do you think about that, Danny?
Oh, that'll work. That'll work too. I would, like I said, if you're going to use a split ring, use like a Spro or a Gami. They're much heavier duty, and the quality is awesome on those things. So.
ST, the guy that you talked to about how to judge current when you're out there, just want to thank you for answering this question.
Not a problem.
Our pleasure. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Hit that like button, everybody. You're doing that. Share this show. Get other people to come and watch Danny tonight I don't know how much longer we're going to go. Danny's voice may give out, so stick with us for a
Yeah.
little bit. Relax with Chris says it's $1.85 a pound at Fisherman's for processing.
That's what I
So
paid. Huh?
that gets expensive.
It is. That's gone up a
You
little
got
bit. But you know
500
what?
pounds of fish,
It's
which is
still
not
worth it.
that hard to do.
Well, and that's why I told the guys come down and get it. And we were, it was.
Oh,
even
that's what
better
you're
this
saying.
year.
If you want to fish, come and pick
come
it
on
up.
down and get it. And
Yeah.
fortunately, we got a lot of friends that will do that. One of my old.
Well, that's a good deal.
Yeah, no, but it's great too. It's good for everybody.
Yeah.
My dad always had that philosophy. He says, "Give it away, give it all the way fresh. It'll come back around." And you got how many friends going down here from week to week?
Yep.
And we have a lot of friends that don't even care. Like Bobby Gonzalez, he's a great fisherman, and he's very generous with this same deal. But it will always come back. If he ever needs fish, I would say, take it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, we have guys like that
I'm
you'll
with
get
you.
your payback.
I
Yeah.
give it all. Yeah.
Let everybody enjoy it while it's fresh.
Exactly. I'm with you on
Yeah.
that. Emmanuel wants to thank Relax for letting them know that it's $1.85. Wow, Willie processed it in Motel 6. Bought a stainless steel table. There you go. That's a way to process it and save some money. Jagger, I processed, pardon me, a cow elk in a Motel 6 one
Holy
time.
smokes!
Great hotel chain.
Did
he
you hang
says.
it?
I think they should make that part of their whole advertising campaign, right?
Yeah.
Matthew Cruz says the size was 15 to 20 inches, and he was catching those barracuda on a lucky craft. Matthew, thank you for sharing that. Really do appreciate that, my friend. Matthew Cruz, the stinger hook is key for the halibut in a snell knot.
There you go.
You like that?
There you go. Well, that's why years ago, and I didn't. We used to actually, like I said, use a treble too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emmanuel wants to know, do you use treble hooks on all your jigs?
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Pretty much. Even all the stuff that I take down below for yellows and everything. My 45s and everything roll on, and even my yo-yo stuff. I use big trebles. Although I have some real heavy duty single hooks on some of the yo-yo stuff for down below too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halibut Man, Matthew Cruz, were you fishing in Seal Beach a couple days ago? Steve Barber, I have a Pen 60 with 100-pound braided, 80-pound top shot on a PCH 3X rod. Will it be okay on a 1.5-day trip?
Yeah, you'll be fine with that. You'll be fine with that. But you definitely have, the 100, the 80 will be fine. I mean, it can handle it, but you're going to be second guessing yourself if you hang one that's over 200 pounds. So top shot, I was using 130 because we were fishing at night.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, and Relax with Chris. He was there last week fishing over in Seal Beach. Hey, man, you're going to have to do a dance behind the morning briefing. I'm out there every morning in Surfside anyway, right near Seal Beach. Wild Willie, Motel 6. How it goes, they keep the lights on for you. Yeah, they do, man.
If
so
you're
you
gutting,
can process
you're
your
gonna
elk.
have elk, yeah. Oh my God, that's a job.
That is funny. He was by 72nd Street, by Ballast Point, off the rocks. So those guys are down there fishing a lot. I don't know if you want to wrap it up. We got a little break here. I know your voice is.
Oh yeah,
it's been a great show. It's up to you,
cool,
Danny.
Cool, yeah. Well,
A lot of people,
it,
almost starting to push up toward 100 people watching.
well, awesome people.
Big crowd
Thank
tonight.
you. But it's during the week, if you have something on your mind, jot it down, and we'll catch you next Thursday. But yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions.
And why don't you just kind of wrap it up one more time? The American Angler, what a great rig. You had just such a great time on there.
To me, and yeah, I'm prejudiced when it comes to that. But I'm very critical over operations. But like I said, when you walk on, you're called by your first name, and they make that effort with everybody. They go. I mean, that alone, above and beyond. Much less the service, taking your stuff down to your staterooms, helping you out, And I mean, you have Brad and their whole crew. They've been there forever.
Yeah.
And it's I don't even call them crew. I call them family. And
Absolutely.
that's how we call it on the boat too, because that's how you're treated.
You know what? Every time we do this, we get more questions. So we got a few more, and we're almost
okay.
up to 100
Sure.
listeners. Let's see. Matthew Cruz wants to know, when you're fishing for halibut, does the pound test you're using matter?
You know, they're not. We're not in Alaska, you know, and I think you can get a, especially local fishing. When I used to fish down off Tier One on the Bull Ring, it was competitive, but we had a lot of big halibut. And you don't need more than 25. You know, what was nice about that treble hook, it kept their teeth from getting to the, the mono. So that was kind of a nice part. And that's why, you know, here I had a brain, FART, when it came to thinking about, oh, we're going halibut fishing, and forget putting trebles in
Oh,
my
right.
box for our trip on the
Yeah.
Apollo. I could have used that.
Yeah.
I think I would have had 3 halibut then. It would have been different. Yeah.
Let's see. Halibut Man says there's been some guys catching chovies at the blowhole and taking them to the Queen Mary lately. That is an instant bite. Man, I got to catch a flatty out in front of my place. They're biting. I know they are.
Oh, I'm sure.
Blay says, thanks, guys. Learned a lot, Jagger. Always take a vacuum sealer with you to a Motel 6. They'll keep the light on as long as you don't leave the trimmings in the shower.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Danny, great show. Thank you again,
Awesome.
my friend.
Phil, thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Hit that like button
Love you
one more
guys. That's
time.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny, and thanks everybody
right.
for joining us.
Thanks, all.
Live from 22nd Street Landing, this has been the Danny Kadota Show. Danny, once again, always a pleasure.
Mine too. We'll see you next week.